Hi guys, happy Friday. I hope you've had a great week and are getting ready to have an excellent weekend. In this video, I'm going to be looking into the question, what are the person on your mind's honest thoughts and feelings about you and the connection right now? There are 3 groups to choose from. Group 1 is the Apatite. Group 2 is the Rhodonite. And group 3 is the Dalmation Jasper. So if you want to take a moment to center, focus on your breathing, and feel whichever group, maybe multiple groups or perhaps all of the groups that you're most drawn to, I'll give you a minute to make your selection and then we'll get right into it. And there are timestamps in the description box of the video for each group if you'd like to jump ahead. And up next is a close-up photo of the crystals to help you better make your selection. Hi, Group 1. You chose the Apatite. So let's see, what are the person on your mind's honest thoughts and feelings about you and the connection right now? Okay, so to start with, we have Diana, action, focused intent. Kali, the release of limiting beliefs, transformation. And Tara, hope, star, renewed purpose. So this person sees you as a powerhouse. And it feels like this relates to whatever you've been applying yourself to as far as like career, a passion project, or living like a fully actualized or embodied life. This person may have encountered a lot of people that just sort of stuck with the status quo, never really questioned anything, took the safe and narrow path when it came to choices in their life. A lot of people in their life may have a lot of regrets, may really dwell on like, if I had the chance to do it all over again, I would have done so many things different. You're like a breath of fresh air. You are the person that you take calculated risks. You may have made massive changes in your life, walking away from things that were limiting or kind of circumstances that benefited from your brokenness or, led to kind of like a disillusioned life, and something that you're either maybe working towards now. Maybe you've gone back to school to kind of, further your education and pursue a career that's more meaningful for you. Some of you may have made long distance moves. You may have had like really big upheavals or changes in order to sort of just push through, kind of just going with the flow, going with the motions of your life and of your reality. And anything that pertains to or that you're in the process of doing, this person finds that very attractive. It feels that you're very inspirational or motivational for them as well, to start to look around and to ask themselves, where is there stagnancy in my life, and what can I do with the tools that I have at my disposal at this moment in time, in the present circumstances that I find myself in order to kind of make the best of the situation, but set my sights towards something higher. This person sees you as somebody that is very fearless. You walk into the unknown with a fearless energy, or even if you feel the fear, you walk through that anyway, in order to stand in your personal truth, or, again, just kind of the ways in which you're living your life in general. It's so different from other people that they've known or that they've dated, who have been very timid, who have kind of limited themselves, who have just sort of settled for the first thing that's come along, or the dreams that those other people were reaching for were very, very limited. Or they didn't have like the stamina to see something through to completion or through to the next level. If you've had any kind of like tower moments in your life and you've had to be like the phoenix rising from the ashes, this person is very impressed by that, because it's almost like you've demonstrated a strength of character that it's very uncanny, it's very unusual, it's very refreshing, and it's very inspiring. And so there's a sense that as this relates to like their romantic feelings for you, there's a sense of like, you're the type of person I'd want on my team. If I had to walk into hell with anybody by my side, it would be you. That you have demonstrated to this individual that you're somebody that acts with a lot of integrity. You're very strategic in the best possible way, and you're really willing to go the distance in the tough times and when times are good, to where they're seeing you, even if this is like a relatively speaking newer connection, what they've come to understand about you, bits and pieces that you've shared with them or that they've just sort of picked up on, through observing you. There's a sense of like, there are so many facets and layers to you that you're somebody that they could definitely count on to not abandon them when times get tough. You're not the type of person that's just going to stand by them when times are good, but you're really willing to like dig in, get into the trenches, find a way forward, or hold space for the people that you care about while they are in the process of finding themselves. And this person finds that very attractive. They may have dealt with a lot of people that just were using them or were like fair weather friends, romantic connections where people might have thought they were increasing their social status or their clout or their financial circumstance by aligning with this person, only to kind of have those needs met and then abandon them. This person might have been used as a stepping stone or like a person to open doors for opportunities for previous romantic partners who then sort of like moved on to the next best thing. And so it feels like they're at a stage in their life, and you may or may not be aware of this, where this is almost somebody that might be very slow moving to make their intentions known, because it's almost like, I have to see how you perform beyond the first impression, beyond that kind of pleasantry, beyond the surface level mask. When all of that effort to kind of showboat runs its course, who are you then? And so what they've seen is that you're somebody who's really you've been tested by the universe, or choices in your life have led to certain things where you've needed to course correct, or you've simply said enough is enough and you've chosen better for yourself and followed through with that. And so there's a determination, there's a fierceness, there's a fire in your soul that this person is very drawn to, not as a taker, not like a moth to the flame that's just going to chew you apart, but somebody they see the blaze that burns in you is similar to what exists within them. And so the phrase kindred spirits is coming through. So this person definitely sees you as somebody that, regardless of kind of what happens in this romantic dynamic going forward, you're an inspiration to them. You're somebody that is unforgettable in the best possible way. There's a sense that like they're already learning so much about you that is like reflecting things about themselves as well, that they're seeing that's like a very important kind of connection. So they may be sort of straddling that fence. Like, I don't want to move too quickly here because I feel this romantic draw to you. But at the same point in time, there's almost like a deeper resonance beyond all that lovey-dovey stuff. There's something at the core of like who you are that speaks to the core of who this person is, or maybe like an uphill battle that they are fighting, a challenge that they are in the midst of, or times in their past where how you are and who you are as a person, it echoes a lot of those same things that they've gone through. So they see a level of resonance with you that other people in their life, they haven't been able to connect with. They haven't been able to like empathize with them on a deep level. Even if there's been sympathy from other people, it's like you could really empathize with sort of like who I am, what motivates me, what I have had to become. So let's see what else their true and honest feelings are about you. Okay, we have taking chances, star family, and dolphin play. Yeah, so there's that kindred spirit energy, that star family. There's a sense of belonging that they feel with you, a sense of being very calm and at ease and invited to truly be themselves when they're in your presence, when they're in your energy, that is different from even the way that they're able to relate to like their best friend or their closest family member, their closest confidants. You're like a whole other level. There's a sense of like wordless communication between the two of you at a soul level. There may be a lot of deja vu, a lot of synchronicities, things that ordinarily might have gone beyond this person's notice. They might not be somebody that really pays attention to signs and synchronicities and, you know, things of that nature. And yet you've brought that focus to them. It's impossible for them to ignore that on a certain level. And this might even be something where the nature of that or the frequency of these things, this could be something that has this person not necessarily nervous, but there's like an adjustment period, sort of like, why am I seeing this person's name everywhere? Why are they coming through in dreams constantly? Why am I feeling this person's energy around? And there's a sense of like, without them needing to communicate that to you, they're seeing that like you've shifted your posture with them maybe recently, energetically, even in some way. Maybe this just has to do with stuff in your life that's going on where like you've needed to redirect your focus to taking care of business, you know, in a practical sense, or, you know, you've got your own life going on, you've got your own things going on. But this person has registered that as a part of you, almost kind of simultaneously made that adjustment at a time period where they were like, I need to go inside and reflect. I need to think about this. These feelings are growing very deep, but it is impossible for me to ignore that there's like something else going on here. In terms of that deep level of resonance, a deep level of being like comfortable in your presence or inspired by you as a person. They may not have ever had a romantic connection with anyone that like inspired them. There may have been respect in previous connections, but there's almost like, you're almost carrying like a heroic energy. You could be defined as like this person's hero or the hero of the moment, somebody that's like very crucial for where they're at this point in their life, that provides some kind of validation for what they've been through. You're walking a similar path, even if it looks very different. You carry those same kind of frequencies inside of yourself that this person has tapped into, has been guided to in order to kind of create a fresh start, pivot to the next level. They may be at a point in their life where they're starting to ask those deeper questions. What's the meaning of my life? What is the meaning of these connections that I have? How many of these people do I keep in my court just because they're family, just because we've been friends for decades? This is somebody who might be in the process of like cutting the grass really low, you know, filtering things out. And there's a sense of whatever that involves for them. That can even be like a change in career, or just starting to think, if they were living like moment to moment, you know, in this kind of like you only live once sort of attitude, they may be starting to look at the bigger picture. Like, okay, when the party's done, when the lights come on, what then? What's kind of the bigger picture of my life? Am I going to be satisfied 20, 30, 40 years from now with how I spent my time in this world, chances that I took or, you know, that I didn't? Am I going to end up like those people that I know that are just filled with regrets, filled with bitterness, filled with resentment, that tell themselves maybe in the next lifetime? There's a sense that this person's trying to not wait till the next lifetime or wait till the future in order to kind of create more fulfillment for themselves. And they see in some way that you align with that frequency, or you would understand that on the other side of what may be like taking a chance in a new direction, having to lay down some boundaries, cut some people off, or push through towards goals. It may involve like a change in career, a change in where they're living, a change in how they've been living their life. That idea of stepping out in the unknown, it doesn't feel as scary because there's a sense of, you would understand my motives. You would understand what would compel me. You've been through something similar, or you're walking that similar path. You're trying to do that for yourself. And so if there's anyone that I could connect with on that deep core level, it would be you. And so there's a sense that they're having to like grapple with this right now. Like, where's their room within a romantic connection to also have like the feeling of heroicism? There's almost a sense that this person might have kind of been conditioned to like, I'll be the knight in shining armor. I'll be the person that comes in as like the savior. And yet you've presented that for this person just by marching to the beat of your own drum, living your life, holding the frequency that you do, or, refining that in some sort of way, that this has almost kind of thrown them for a loop. Like, I didn't know I was in need of rescue. I didn't know that it was okay for me to kind of sit back and allow somebody else to kind of inspire and take the lead. I didn't know that I could still sit within the gender role that I'm comfortable with and have a romantic partner that embodies many of those qualities that I've been trained to believe I should inhabit. This may be somebody that has a hard time asking for help. They may carry the weight of their world upon their shoulders in a very sort of, they just suck it up and push forward. This might be somebody that doesn't have anyone to really vent to or confide in, or it's just the way they were raised, of like, you just keep pushing forward, you just keep it moving. And so there's a sense of like the energetic bond between the two of you, or these little indicators where they've had to kind of take a step back and sort of unpack that. What do these signs and synchronicities mean? What is the nature? This person right now could be sort of expanding their spiritual knowledge or creating a knowledge base for themselves for the first time in that capacity. And all of that leads back to the sense of like, you've been placed in their life at this moment for a reason. It is not an accident that you've crossed paths. There's a sense that they think towards the future of what this connection can involve. And it's a sense of, they feel that with you, they're invited to be themselves totally, but then also have a partner that mirrors that. It's like they almost may think of you as like the yin to their yang, the embodiment of themselves in the opposite gender. And so that may be really like throwing them for a loop, but it's the sense of almost like, we're stronger together than apart, or I start to understand, or I'm able to self-validate myself more by seeing that at one point in time, you were just a stranger. You were just one of billions of people in the world. And now here you are at this point in time. Here I am at this particular point in time, and it's not accidental. And again, there's this energy of sort of like, even if you just decide to be friends in the long term, or the relationship kind of fades away, you've made a lasting impression upon them, where if they were to be asked kind of like towards the end of their life, well, who are some inspiring figures that you've encountered, you'd be top on that list. You'd be the top dog. You would be the person that it's like, that is somebody that really demonstrated authenticity at a time in my life when everything was pushing to conformity. You were that person that stood strong in your truth, even when the world didn't understand, or when you had every reason to kind of just run away and hide. And it gave me the strength to hold fast to the core of who I am, and what I know of myself, and what I'm starting to understand is maybe a direction that better serves me, or a purpose that is calling me forth to make changes. So this can definitely be like a soulmate connection. If you resonate with the idea of twin flames, that can be here too, but this doesn't feel to have so many of the destructive elements that are often found within twin flame connections. So I think that this would be best kind of just described as a soulmate, but something that is even kind of beyond labels. It feels like this person's not trying to put labels on the circumstance. They're like fascinated by you and by the feelings within them, like a new layer of how to like relate to someone, or what love can be like, is suggested in their interactions with you. And even within the silence, there's like empowerment there. So let's get a couple more and see what else their honest thoughts and feelings are about you. Okay, we have the perfection of your life, conscious connections, and release the dark wound, let love live. Yeah, so there we go. There's that conscious connection, soulmate energy. You're like the mirror image of this person. You are this person in another person, whether you're the same gender, opposite genders. It's almost like they're able to understand and have more healthy love of self through the human frailty that they see demonstrated within you. You wear your wounds with pride. You you are beautifully broken. And in that is a level of perfection that they've not experienced often or at all in other people, and certainly not in anyone that they've had a chance with romantically. This is almost somebody that feels like you're out of their league, but not in a way that brings forth like a defeatist attitude. It's kind of like, okay, I see the bar has been raised higher. You are that point on the horizon I'm reaching toward. My journey through my process and through self brings me closer to that place of being able to align with you totally. And so there's a sense of they're not giving up. They're not being thwarted by the ways in which they may have had to almost reflexively pull back, being like overwhelmed by the nature of the dynamic, overwhelmed by the ways in which not just friends and family might approve of this situation, but it's almost like the universe, nature, the world, the subtle realms are like making themselves known to this person in a way that they can't ignore that. It's so obvious or so frequent that they've had to kind of stop and say, what is this? You've led this person deeper into kind of their spiritual self. They resonate with you on a core level, beyond names, beyond title, beyond physicality. There's a sense of like, I know you. My soul knows you. And in that way, I feel less alone in the challenges of my life, or in the changing times, or in the world as I am experiencing it and as I would like it to be for myself. So this is almost the energy of like best friends, lovers, and something so much more beyond that, that expands beyond words or definitions. And they see you as somebody that like, you could be the one, but this requires them to kind of like come into that oneness within themselves. The experiences with you, time spent in your energy, even if you're just like, if you spend time with this person and you're kind of like, you're just reading quietly, you're on your phones, you're doing your own thing, there's a comfort in your presence that doesn't have to do with like codependency, but there's just a sense of like, even occupying the same physical space, breathing the same air as you calms this person, helps this person to honor their individuality, but find community within that. Find the sense of kind of like, I might not be everybody's cup of tea, but I'm somebody's precise flavor. The measurements of both light and shadow within myself complement the ratios I've discerned within you. There's a level of excitement to kind of see what else they get to know about you, what else they get to discover about you, what else you're going to show them. They see you as a multifaceted being, almost like too etheric for this earthly plane. Like the material plane is just not good enough for a soul like you. And so there's a sense of like, I'm fascinated to get to know more. I reach a higher level of understanding of God, of spirit, of myself, through time spent in your presence, through the energetic exchange, even through the power of silence. It brings me back to the awareness of those things inside of myself, and it gives me strength to continue to push forward through the obstacles, through the challenges, through the fears, through the doubts. This might even indicate somebody that's been, hurt in love. And so it's a challenge to remain present, to remain open-hearted, to continue to move forward with you. And so there's a sense of like they feel themselves strengthening as a person, or overcoming their shadows and their wounds and their heartbreaks and their disappointments of the past, the more that like they're able to sort of take steps back and then return in kind of a consistent energy to you. And this isn't like hot and cold. This is almost somebody that just may get very exhausted energetically. They're up leveling in some sort of way. Even if the nature of your connection is very mundane, you're kind of just doing ordinary stuff with one another. And there are a few indicators, maybe they go quiet every once in a while, but they haven't totally just like ghosted or anything. There's a lot happening with this person energetically. They're definitely going through some kind of an ascension at this point, or more of the energy of just coming home, coming into a place of being fully comfortable in a relationship. They may have never been comfortable in romance. They might have even had a hard time being comfortable in their family. They might have always felt like the odd person out. may have taken a lot of effort for this person to kind of like make a way in the world, or, to just sort of self-validate in a sense. And it's almost like your presence, your energy, who you are as a person, they can finally relax and say, yeah, I'm good enough. All those people that gave me a hard time or rejected me, it wasn't that I was too much. It's just, it was a mismatch. It wasn't aligned. I was always enough. And with you, it's kind of those mantras, those ways in which they try to like pump themselves up, fake it till you make it. It's like they don't have to pretend anymore. They're settling into an energy within themselves of like, this feels right. And it's not settling like stagnation, because they're seeing you as somebody that like, yeah, I want to align with you, and I think we can really grow together. I think that we can really meet our goals. I think that we can really create a very fulfilling life with one another. And even if there's like an end date to our romance, you're still somebody that I will look at as like somebody that helped to fundamentally shape me or encourage me at a time in my life when I was wanting something more for myself. So let's get some message cards and see what they want you to know from their higher self. Okay, and we have, please give me some time to heal. Yeah, so if you've sensed that this person's gone a little bit quiet, even if it's been like you've just had responsibilities, work, family obligations, social obligations, life happens, and we can't always be in one another's energy and doing the lovey-dovey stuff every day. If there's, you've both been kind of called in different directions, or they've been called in a different direction, there's a lot going on within that silence. They're taking this period of time where it's like you may be physically disconnected, or there may not be a lot of consistency as far as communication, and they're really feeling into things. Like spirit is communicating with them during this period of time, where they're otherwise occupied, they're distracted in other sort of ways, they're needing to kind of deal with certain things or meet certain goals and deadlines. But in the midst of all of that, there's like this process of putting together the pieces of a big puzzle inside of themselves, that lets them know if everything around them is starting to not make sense, you're the one thing that brings forth the idea of lucidity effortlessly. They also say, you mean the world to me. So you are very special to this person. I'm hearing, I do anything for you. So it feels like for some of you, like, get ready for a big romantic gesture. It doesn't feel like it would be kiss and make up apology, but almost like if they've had to pull away from something, when they come back towards you, or they're able to be more frequent or consistent with their communications, or like spending time with one another, you may be getting ready to experience like a surge in their effort. The energy of kind of like, let me show you that I don't just consider this to be a casual connection. Let me show you that although our circumstance may have its challenges or its setbacks at this particular point in time, that I want to see this through. I believe that this is one of those instances of like the tough times where this connection is not being tested, but is being like forged into something stronger. They also say, I'm hiding my true feelings for you. So they have definitely fallen in love with you. They are surrendering to that process. There's a sense of like, I don't want anyone else. No one else feels the same way that you do. No one else helps me to kind of feel about myself the same way that you do. Not just in terms of like you're feeding their ego or placating them, but the ways in which how you are as an individual. This validates so much within themselves. Like previous romantic partners might not have understood, or, like society might even question changes that they're trying to make. But it's a sense of like, I'm trying to march to the beat of my own drum, and I see you as an individual out here doing this as well. And so it gives me hope. It gives me encouragement to continue to stay the course, to continue to see things through to completion. And so this isn't just kind of like, they're head over heels and like puppy love for you. There's a sense of like, you are here in this changing period with them, and you've helped to kind of change them for the better, or you're sticking by their side while they're going through change and transformation. And that's the most valuable thing that anyone could do for them. And no one's ever done it like this before for them. So you're very important to this person. And it feels like they don't want to linger too much longer in the energy of like things being unspoken or words that they're holding back. They want to vocalize this. They want to claim you. They want to make this known very loudly that like it's us. It's you and me. So let's get some initials. This could be a first, middle, or last name, or could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Got W, T, W, D, Y, K, T, A, C, L, O, L, N, M, S, G, Q, N, and D. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link to that in the description box of the video. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 2. You chose the Rhodonite. So let's see, what are the person on your mind's honest thoughts and feelings about you and the connection? Okay, we have seer, vision, intuition. Spirit guide, higher realms. And shield maiden, courage. So I'm hearing it's an act of bravery to love you. This person feels very exposed in your presence, that there's nowhere to hide. They understand that you will only accept truth and authenticity, that you're at a point in your life where you're not willing to play games. You're not going to chase people. You know your worth. And so you're giving off a vibe of like, come correctly or don't come at all. And so there's a sense that this person, in a way, they've been like humbled. If they tried to come forth and sort of, you know, play games, run game on you, kind of thinking that, oh, it'll be easy to sort of get what I want. There's almost something where you've shown that like you're the chess master, you're the game master. You see through that all and you win because you're not willing to play. You're not participating in that. So if you had to like draw some boundaries with this person, or if they've been kind of in and out as far as their communication and energy, and you sort of put a stop to that, or, you know, you're just sort of not, you're not taking the bait in that capacity, it's really thrown them for a loop in terms of like underestimating you in some way. And also, more importantly, this is something where they almost feel like, I'm going to lose this person forever. I'm going to lose a chance to be with them if I don't mature, if I don't grow up, if I don't get really serious about what do I really want in my life. This person might have been in a period of time where they've just had like hookups, shallow connections. They might have been sort of like coming out of a heartbreak and had kind of overcompensated for that in a sense of like, well, I won't let anyone in close enough to hurt me like that again. And at face value, they almost thought that you would just be another one of those kind of people. That sort of like casual 3 of Cups sort of energy, no strings attached, loosey-goosey. And there's a sense of like, you sort of have let this person know, like, yeah, we can take things slow. We can start off easy, but I'm looking for something long term. I'm looking for something serious. My time is too valuable. I'm too valuable to just be running around with anyone or wasting my time or destroying my emotional peace for people that can't bring anything to the equation that I can't generate for myself. So you've given this person a wake-up call in some sort of way that it feels like is very triggering for them, but it also feels like this is almost, you represent kind of an invitation for them to make a choice. They're at a crossroads now, and they recognize that. Either continue to settle for like lower vibrational connections, casual connections, things that are very impersonal, things that are very limited, or this is an opportunity to put behind that kind of wounding or that sort of player attitude. And this is an opportunity to start to trust in the power of love once again, to start to trust in their ability to show up as a competent partner in a connection with another individual, in this case, you, the viewer, to build beyond that place of, I've been hurt in love before, so therefore I run from love. I keep it at arm's length. Like they'd originally intended to keep you at arm's length, and you upended that. Instead, you were the one that said, no, I put you at arm's length. You don't have permission to just treat me any sort of way. And you may not have had to kind of give them a piece of your mind. It's almost like your cutoff game is impeccable. They messed around and a wall went up. They got shown something. You didn't fall off. You pulled back. You put up that boundary that said, I'm not going to play these games with you. You mistook me for somebody who was naive. You mistook me for somebody who didn't know their value and worth. You mistook me for somebody who was just going to settle for being someone else's emotional rag doll. And so this is something that it feels like has been a rude awakening for them. Nobody might have ever stood up to this person like this before. And so it's been very challenging, because at first they might have almost been like, okay, is this some other kind of game that I don't know about? What is this? What's your angle here? And they've come to understand, like, no, you're very serious. This wasn't an invitation for this person. Whatever you've kind of done or said, or you've even just removed yourself from the situation, or you're not feeding into that kind of current where this person tried to get you to chase them. You're sitting in your feminine energy. You're receptive, and they tried to pop you into masculine energy where you were gonna be on the hunt. You were gonna be on the pursuit. And you put a stop to that based on your intuition, your spidey sense that said something's off about this. This isn't the dynamic that I want. This isn't the power dynamic I'm looking for. I'm not looking for somebody that's just going to be another lesson. I'm not just looking for more heartbreak. I'm holding out for something meaningful. And so there's a sense that this person is now kind of challenged at this particular point in time, because it upends everything they thought they knew about themselves and the level of like personal power that they hold. This person might have thought of themselves as a catch, as like the person that anybody would want. Anybody would be lucky to be with this person. And you've just shown them that might be the case, that you're a catch, but prove it to me. Because I know you might be the catch, but I know I'm the prize. So it can't be both ways in this situation. There's something where they're very triggered by this level of personal empowerment. They may have never encountered anyone that sat in their personal power in this way. And it's very confusing for them. Why am I so attracted to this person that triggers me? This person makes me frustrated. This person makes me furious, because I'm not getting my way with them. My usual game, it didn't work. The tactics that have sold other people on the package of me and have resulted in others chasing. And then I was the one to kind of discard. You didn't take the bait. You didn't play along with that for very long or at all. And so it feels like this person at this point in time is kind of almost in the essence of sort of like to just walk away would signal defeat, but they understand that the way to access your heart is not through brute force. They can't force themselves into that place of like, this person is the prize. And so to claim that, it's just like reaching out and grabbing. It's almost like they have to sort of prove themselves in a way, soften something within. You have held a mirror up for this person where they're now looking at their shadows, because it doesn't feel like they're a bad person necessarily. This is just somebody who maybe a long time ago they were disappointed by somebody in love. They were heartbroken, and then they said, well, I'll just be a player then. I'll just keep it casual. I'll just keep my dance card full. I'll just have a roster. I'll have a harem. I'll have all these people kind of vying for my attention. I'll strut around and I'll know that I'm kind of the decider. I'm the person that kind of brings the most to the table. And then they met you. And so again, it's this invitation, like, do you want to continue on in that very ego-based and kind of brutish attitude? Or do you want to let go of that hurt and rise to the occasion where love can be something that heals, as opposed to something you hold as like a bitter memory? So they're very challenged by you. Let's see what else their true thoughts and feelings are. Okay, we have planetary guardian, universal heart, and expansion compassion. Yes, you've definitely pushed this person outside of their comfort zone. They thought they were going to take you for a ride, and you kind of left them by the side of the road. And so it's really sort of thrown them for a loop. Bamboozled would be a good way to describe this. They may be sitting in kind of a lower vibrational energy, sort of feeling tricked in some way, or that you led them on, or you were just a tease, when in fact this is something that again is like a mirror of how they've been operating in this kind of like lower vibrational or negative sort of energy. Feels like they vacillate back and forth between that sort of pointing the finger of blame, and at the end of the day, it's obvious that you're a sweetheart. You're a very sweet person. You give off the vibe of authenticity. There's an aspect of you that is very unique. They know that you're different from people more bland, or people with like low self-esteem that would have played this little game with them. This may be somebody who like has a string of heartbreak behind them. And with you, it's almost like they're seeing now that you've already walked that trail of tears. Somebody or many somebody's already, shattered your illusions of love, and you've risen beyond all of that. You found a way to heal yourself, or to miraculously almost keep your heart open despite what you've been through. And so the more that they kind of fight against this sort of urge to grow beyond the comfort zone, the more they're able to kind of see like, you're not the problem. It's their approach that's the problem. They see you as somebody with very strong boundaries, a very strong sense of self. You're fiercely protective over yourself and the peace that you've worked very hard to cultivate. So there is an understanding of kind of like this person, to be loved by this person. Like if they're this protective over themselves, imagine what they do for those that they love. Where this person almost feels like they lock themselves out in the cold. They're like having a tantrum in some sort of way, because it's like, I should be standing there by your side. I should be in this kind of control position. You should want me because I want you. And yet that's not the key to accessing this. And there's a sense of almost like if they don't get their act together, you'll be somebody else's blessing. And there's a sense of like, I don't think I'll ever get over you. Even if it was a short-lived dynamic you've had with one another, or, something that they've kind of given you indicators of like, you don't matter, you're just one of many, like I'm just moving on. There's a part in the core of them that is very awake and very aware to the fact that I will never meet anyone like you again. Like you've opened this person's eyes to even the ways in which they had been settling, that these kind of games that they were playing, it was only bringing in and cultivating connections with people with low self-esteem, people with codependency issues, people who validated this brokenness within this individual and like the persona that they've created around that to mask and hide all their pain. They understand that like true healing or like a chance to experience a different face of love is possible with you, but it's only accessible if they kind of elevate beyond their worldview or their view of themselves, their view of love and partnerships. Ways in which they may have projected a lot onto you instead of like taking that wounding within or that rejection or those boundaries as sort of a signal for something to work on within themselves. It feels that it was very easy to kind of point fingers or poke fun or kind of just try to make a mockery of your self-love. And it feels that they're moving back and forth between that. And it's becoming harder and harder to kind of paint you as the bad guy, paint you as the villain. And you're just out here living your life. There may be others in their community, others that maybe might have, heard whatever this person had to say about you out of a wounded place. And they've observed like, yeah, I don't think that you were playing games with them. I don't think that you were the one trying to be out here as a heartbreaker. I think you just valued yourself enough not to play at this lower level that this person maybe even habitually has been playing at. There could be other people who've had similar experiences with this person that are like, yeah, see, I was telling the truth. I was right. This person is just kind of out there running game. They're like a con artist. And so there's a sense that, again, this person feels very exposed through their experiences with you and their conduct and how they've handled things. They feel very exposed within themselves because although you've set boundaries, there's almost a sense of them understanding like you're the kind of person that if they put in the work, if they took a different approach or changed their attitude in some sort of way, that you'd hear them out. You'd listen to what they have to say. And that may be so different from people that they're used to that were just petty, vindictive, manipulative. They see you as somebody who doesn't tolerate drama. You don't bring drama into situations. You don't tolerate it in your life. They may have never encountered anyone as empowered as you. Hearing an empowered female. So if this is like a male that you're dealing with, they may have never encountered an empowered female. They might have heard people sort of talk about that girl power and all of that stuff, but you embody a protective aspect of that. Like you don't just need to kind of espouse certain ideas and then align yourself with broken men. You're somebody that's like, no, I've been through things, I've healed, I've raised my standard, and nobody gets access to my reality if they are going to disrupt that peace. So let's get a couple more and see what else this person's true thoughts and feelings are about you in the connection. Okay, we have spirals of manifestation. Follow your own rhythm. And restore and replenish. So with whatever this person has put you through, distress, frustration, ways in which you might have had to make a boundary with them, and that could have changed certain things about what you're doing, where you're going, kind of like what you're involved with, if this is somebody that, is very kind of close to home or, like close within your community, they're seeing that like you don't stay down for long. You're not somebody that's just gonna be defeated or overpowered and then that's like the end game. This is somebody that sees that you are moving towards a love that is worthy of you. And so it brings up a sense of feeling very small or very broken inside of themselves, because giving it their all, giving it kind of their best shot, to spit game, to feed you a line, to kind of do their pitch, whatever that involved, kind of until you might have needed to say enough is enough and sort of move off in your own direction. There's a sense of them really feeling like I don't have much to offer. They're starting to question everything, kind of looking around a bit embarrassed as well, that like a grown man or a grown woman is behaving in this way. And so there's a sense that they see you're very unbothered. You're not going to wait, or you're not waiting around at all for them. You don't expect them to come back around. This is almost a sense of like it would be impossible at this point to come back around. It's like Queen of Swords energy. Your cutoff game is impeccable, to where they might almost feel defeated, like, well, that was it. I had my shot and I blew it. And so there is a lot of like frustration as far as that's concerned, that you might have sensed that as like dissonance in your energy, but it's almost like this person is just crumbling inside of themselves. They can no longer point the finger and sort of play it off like there was something with you. It's very impossible to ignore that, like, no, there was something with them and you didn't take the bait. You didn't dance along to that. You picked up on that. You sensed that and you shut it down. And so this is something that has like humbled this person. This is something to where they're kind of forced to go within and really just sit with themselves. And in a way, there's almost a sense that you represent this energy of like, not so much the one that got away, but an opportunity for change that got away from them. That every day that goes by, that they don't try a different approach, address the things inside of themselves that might have made them regress into this version of themselves. There's almost an aspect of them that like they don't recognize themselves. Like, what have I become? I became that thing that I hated the most or I feared the most. I became just like those people that hurt me or disappointed me or played with my heart. I've done this now to somebody with pure intentions, somebody who didn't deserve that, somebody who wasn't going to dangle affection or romance or love like a carrot on a string and then take it away from me. And so there's been like a rude awakening for this person. They may possibly come back in with some kind of an apology further down the line, or try to come back in just very casually as like friends, but they almost feel like a door to romance is closed between the two of you unless they go through some sort of like total rebirth. And it's very hard for them, it feels like, to just sort of go back in the motions of how they were living their life. They're not looking at their roster in the same way. They're not looking at their harem in the same way. They're not looking at all the groupies that fawn all over them in the same way. They may be very embarrassed by that, by how they've kind of chosen to lead their life. And you called them on that by not participating. So there's a sense of almost like resentment towards you for shaking them out of this kind of like embittered sleepwalking that they've been in as far as comes to romance and relationships, or like power dynamics, operating strongly within ego. And then there's also a sense of gratitude. Like, finally, somebody pointed it out for me, what I couldn't see about myself. Finally, somebody has kind of like jostled me in such a way that I'm forced to look at the fact I'm still living within the wreckage of my past. I've passed that pain along to other people. I'm not satisfied in a certain area of my life, like truly satisfied. I'm not satisfied by temporary connections because I never healed that part of me that was broken by someone else. And I've been punishing other people for that ever since. So this could definitely be something where you represent like a catalyst for this person, like an awakening moment, something to introspect on, something that may or not make change about, but you've opened their eyes to how they've been operating as far as love and romance is concerned. and the limits upon that, like how limited of a level of true fulfillment is possible for them moving through the world with this kind of attitude and approach to other people. So let's get some message cards from their higher self and see what they want you to know. Okay, and they say, you always know what to say to make me feel better. So it feels like you touched on some kind of nerve within this person very early on in your dynamic or dealings with one another, that kind of called out a level of that brokenness within and said, I see you and I still find you worthy despite all of that. So they feel very exposed in your presence, very uncomfortable. You challenge this person's ego, but it's getting harder and harder for them to kind of just point the finger of blame at you or demonize you or villainize you in whatever way that they have been doing. They also say, I've never felt this way before. So again, they're going through some kind of an awakening, some kind of dark night of the soul. The blinders have been ripped off and they are not able to look at their approach to life and love in quite the same way. But they understand they're on their own at this point to figure that out, to grow and change, or to try and just remain within those patterns with that full awareness. They also say, we will reunite soon. So there's a part of them that feels like that almost dreads encountering you, running into you, seeing you out and about. What's that going to be like? They know that if there was warmth before, it is very likely you're just going to be cold, just neutral, civil. And so it feels like that is something that brings forth a lot of anxiety, almost like I won't have anyone to blame at that point except for myself. I can't logically say that, oh, this other person manipulated me or they gave me the runaround and look, now they have the bad attitude. It's almost like they're aware and other people may be aware that like this person didn't handle the situation with you the right way or in a high vibrational way. Your experience with one another has highlighted for them and others ways in which they still need to grow and heal and evolve as a person. So let's get some initials. This could be a first, middle, or last name, or could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Got Y, Z, W, W, C, C, F, X, R, S, R, S, G, F, L, and V. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link to that in the description box of the video. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 3. You chose the Dalmation Jasper. So let's see, what are the honest thoughts and feelings of the person on your mind about you and the connection right now? Okay, we have Nematona, Serenity, Meditation, Solitude. Libertas, Awakening, Liberation. And Tara, Hope, Star, Renewed Purpose. So you make this person want to take risks in order to fight for this love. This person wants to upgrade the way in which you view them. There are aspects of this person that they keep under lock and key because they may have been used to people kind of just taking the kindness for weakness, using them, taking advantage of them. And so they've had to develop some kind of like vetting system, a hard shell, because it's a very emotional person. They're comfortable leading with the heart, and that has gotten them in trouble on more than one occasion. So they've had to kind of force themselves to take a logical approach to love, which is very contrary to their nature or their comfort zone. And so in some sort of way, you've proven yourself, you've put their mind at ease, you've helped to kind of let their guard down. Like energetically speaking, they become more and more comfortable with the idea of long term, and I'm hearing of forever with you. So if you're like in a connection with this person, you're exclusive, you're dating, you're living together, this person may be getting ready to like pop the question or, take things to the next level. They want to open up and have more serious discussions with you about the long-term future of this connection. They're ready to touch on those kind of sensitive topics, difficult topics, sort of like, planning to have a family, planning to combine families, kind of deeper matters of the heart. They're wanting to open up or share with you some kind of bigger dream that they have for their reality, what they've been working towards quietly behind the scenes, that they might also kind of keep away from prying eyes. The idea of like work in silence and let the results speak. You've earned their trust enough where they want to let you in on that. They may want to collaborate with you in some sort of way, or they almost like want your opinion or your energy to sort of saturate the nature of what they've been sort of fostering all on their own, away from kind of the energies of love. This is somebody who maybe had to learn the hard way not to combine business and pleasure. And so you make them want to break their rules in that capacity, though. There's a sense of you feel like home to them, but also the sense of they feel that together with you, the two of you could break ancestral curses, generational curses, kind of like karmic loops and patterns from how you were raised, how you were brought up, how you were kind of entrained to sort of find your place in the world or your role within society. It's kind of like together we could step beyond that. We could take the best of what we experienced and simply erase all the negativity by building on that positive foundation in a different direction. This person sees you as somebody who is very wise, very intuitive, very tapped in. You lead with the heart, and this makes them feel more comfortable to be their authentic self in that capacity as well. It feels like friends and family really approve of you. Even if you've not met this person's friends and family, they've talked about you to a lot of people, or they've kind of shared some insights, sort of like, yeah, I do have someone special. Yeah, things are getting kind of serious, or yeah, I want to take things to the next level. And so there may be something where they've like asked for that seal of approval from a lot of different people. And they've come to the conclusion that like you're a good fit in their world. You're somebody that they want to bring in closer. They feel that they can trust you. They can trust you with their heart. They can trust you at face value for who you are. They see you as somebody that has a very strong sense of integrity, that you're not someone that's going to kind of like stick around just to take advantage of them. You have no problem kind of closing out cycles or stepping away from things that don't serve you. They see you as someone that even if you have to cut people off or remove things from your life, you do so diplomatically. You do so with kindness. They see your kindness as a strength, not a weakness, but they also feel very protective of you because they feel that certainly somebody like you might have been taken advantage of or even counted out altogether due to the fact that you lead from the heart space. You lead with love. You are a kind person. You are a genuine person. You don't move through the world or through interpersonal relationships with an agenda. You don't use people. You don't just keep people around while they serve a purpose for you. That you might be somebody who's a little more selective in terms of the company that you keep. You may have a very tight circle, a very small circle. You're somebody who's very comfortable in their own energy. You don't have a problem being alone. You prefer quality over quantity. And this resonates very much with kind of what they have also been seeking in their life, what they also value in their life. They see you as somebody very rare, and it feels like you have helped this person to kind of feel that all their heartbreaks in the past were not for nothing. They've become very acclimated to kind of what love is not, or experiences of love and partnership that kind of left them with regrets or served as lessons. And you've come along and it's kind of like, none of that matters. None of those circumstances with other people feel as heavy, because it's like, finally I got it right. Finally, there's somebody else out there that's different. Efforts that they may have made to kind of like heal from previous heartbreak and wounding, to step up in their life in some sort of way, or to make better choices. It's almost like this person might have just been flying blind in that capacity for a while, and now they've encountered you, now they've intersected with you, and it's sort of like, okay, that is true, that there's somebody out there for everybody, and this is my somebody. This is the person that kind of like, I chose the high road, or I chose a better path, or even the road less traveled in terms of whatever they've tried to understand about their role in their own suffering and how to like course correct that. This person might have gone to therapy, might have done self-help, something that they've been doing to try and improve their sort of emotional maturity, or their emotional intelligence in some sort of way. And so there's an essence here of like, you align with them in that capacity. You meet them at that level that maybe other people in their life, or certainly other romantic partners that might have just not wanted to do the work, not wanted to face the shadow, not wanted to kind of, address things in any sort of way, and just kind of stick within the wounding, stick with what was easy, stick with what was comfortable, just kind of settle into something. You are light years beyond even the best of those people. And so there's a sense of like, you help to sort of justify within this person that it might not have been an easy road to change, or to try and not become embittered in the outskirts of heartbreak, but to, remain optimistic that like everything happens for a reason, or, the table will turn to their benefit, romantically speaking. And then you've come along, you've come into their life, and it's almost like they see you as the reward for all of their hard work, all of their efforts to heal themselves, to love themselves, to make better choices, to want more for themselves. So let's see what other true thoughts and feelings want to come through here in this reading. Okay, we have remembrance, light technology, and sacred geometrics. So this person feels that the stars have aligned in order to open this door of opportunity for you. There's a sense that you're the person they've been seeking their whole life, but they needed to become a version of themselves first in order to perceive that. This definitely gives the vibe of maybe like a twin flame connection, where you might have needed to take a step away from one another, do some healing, do some like inner work. And if they couldn't recognize or acknowledge what you were offering in the past, or had a hard time kind of remaining consistent within your soul connection, there's a sense of like, their eyes are open now. And it's not like I took you for granted in the past and now I see what I have now that it's gone, but it's almost like you've needed to up level, they've needed to up level, and now you're operating at that same frequency. Now they can see you clearly. Now they've cleared out a lot of that wreckage within themselves emotionally that had prevented them or had made them afraid to accept the cup of love you had to offer in the past, that made them question this connection. In the past, the feelings might have felt very unsafe because they were so different from everything that they've known. But there's a sense that they have now come full circle of understanding. They, in some sort of way, equated toxicity with passion. Fighting for love with like literally having to fight and kiss and make up within connections. Like love being hard work due to the ways in which they had just sort of unconsciously or been entrained to sort of settle for something that reflected that brokenness. And so they've taken some time to heal, or they've come to a place in their journey where it's like they see now that you were always that kind of You were always that next echelon up, not as something inaccessible to them, but as something that like they almost touched base with you in the past. And now that they've come to this place in their own journey, they're able to like fully honor you or honor this connection, honor this exchange. And again, like people in their life seeing a positive impact upon them through your experiences with one another. There's a sense that this person also feels you've helped awaken people in their life. That you're somebody that like whoever you come into contact with is activated in some sort of way. And so even people that might have questioned the connection in the past, like family members or friends who were very well-intentioned towards this person, very possessive of this person, very like, yeah, they've been hurt in the past, they're sensitive, they lead with the heart, they've had to develop this hard shell. So we're very cautious about who gets in, who comes into that inner circle. You've helped to kind of put some of those people who were a bit protective or like overly protective, like helicopter parent kind of energy, you've put those people at ease. Those people have had the opportunity to kind of witness you, witness your path and your progress, connect the dots of how it has aligned with the person that they care about and their own journey, their own process, who they are as a person, who they've needed to become as a person, who they've chosen to be as a person. And it's like, yeah, you are the right fit. In the past, there's almost a sense of like the two of you could have come together and it might have been very destructive energies, or it just sort of amplified chaos within the two of you. But you have each sort of come to a place of balancing that light and shadow where people in their life whose opinions they strongly rely upon or that they value are now giving the green light to this situation. Not even so much that like you've proven yourself or you've earned a place within this kind of community or family unit, but the sense of like the only dog they have in the fight is that person, and you are in that person's best interest. You bring out the best in them. You've been operating as a team even when there's been distance. So there's a full approval that is now given to this. There's like encouragement. These people are like pushing this person to reach out, to make contact, to make amends, to kind of shed light on sort of what they've been up to, what they've been going through, what their motivations or hesitations were in the past. And there's a sense of like you bring healing, not just into this person's life, but all these other people as well. They've had to be reshaped in terms of their opinions about things, moving beyond just sort of set in stone energy into something more malleable. You've helped to shake people out of certain preconceived notions because you've proven to be so different from what they just assumed. So this person even sees you as somebody that helps to kind of explain to these other people in their life, like, yeah, this is a part of who I am too. Parts of them that might have been just sort of pushed into the shadow, you embody that as light, or you've made friends with that shadow, and it's helped this person to kind of settle into their authenticity, who they are as a person, what really matters for them. And you're the individual that like aligns with this up-leveled sort of life. So let's see what else their true thoughts and feelings are about you. Okay, we have Heaven Sent. What do you feel? And Releasing Allegiances. Yeah, so this person sees that you've gone through some sort of metamorphosis. You've changed for the better, and you've changed this person for the better. If they've had to take a step away from the connection, or you've been at a disconnect from one another, they've like, maybe they're watching from the shadows, or they're checking back in, or you might have resumed your contact recently, or you're about to, and there's a sense of like, I see we've been walking parallel paths the whole time. I was blind to who you are. You're my angel. You're my gift. You're my light in the darkness. And there's a sense of like, can you please forgive me for being so blinded by my own shadow that I pushed away salvation in the form of the love you were offering. That you've taken the experience with this person, the pain, the confusion, the disappointment, and you've alchemized that. You shifted out of an energy of like self-pity or wallowing, and you got very determined about some kind of purpose, either to heal, to create peace for yourself. Maybe you've, poured kind of all of that worry into, building a business, improving your health, working on things as far as prosperity, improving other interpersonal relationships in your life. You've been the teacher for this person as far as what it means to move beyond a place of like dwelling or crying over spilt milk into a place of like accepting circumstances that are outside of one's control for what they are, and just focusing on sort of things that are more easily controlled within one's environment, like one's health, one's wellness, what one is doing professionally, goals and dreams, and kind of meeting the universe halfway as far as that's concerned. They see you as somebody who has their best interests in mind, that their legacy is safe with you, their heart is safe with you, their future is safe with you, their life is safe with you. And there's a sense of almost like we may be very different, but we operate in tandem. This person may have definitely had some kind of awakening, some kind of ascension. They're aware now that this is not an ordinary love. This is not an ordinary connection. You've helped this person. You've been like the light in the darkness for this person, exploring deeper meaning in their life, finding their purpose, or finding a way beyond the parts of themselves that hurt. Allowing themselves to kind of like honor that shell that they have in place, but to let more of that soft center be known. They see you as like a guardian angel as well. There may be things that have like happened or occurrences where they'd gotten like, they felt your energy or something that might have been like a premonition that either encouraged them to run full forth towards something or to kind of put up boundaries or step away. And there's a sense of like they've been able to piece that together, that like your higher self is always with me, always looking out for me, seeing what I can't see, reading between the lines, where this is almost kind of like, this is somebody that sees you, the two of you, as like part of a power couple. And that there's this essence of like forgiveness needs to happen in a realistic sort of way. It needs to be something that's kind of like created, not just stated, and then that's the end of that, but something that needs to be like worked towards actively on a daily basis. Trust needs to be reestablished. Feelings need to be shared, difficult conversations need to take place, healing needs to be allowed to enter, but there's a sense of almost like all is well between the two of us, all is well within this connection. They see you as like their fated person, their destiny, the one that they were always meant to come home to. I'm hearing I never knew what love was. So you've like shown this person what love is by honoring their boundaries, honoring their barriers or their unwillingness or inability to like participate with you in romance in the past. And yet you've always held them in a place of compassion. Like they can feel that you still hold them in a place of love inside. Like no matter what has happened, I love you. And if we never speak about that openly, you exist in a place called love inside of me. And it feels like this person might have gone through some things where they didn't really feel like they had anyone or no one could understand them. And that's when they sensed your light. That's when they felt that. They feel that like living prayer of love just through the fact that you're like, to the best of your ability, living your life in the aftermath of what has happened between you and this person. And yet when they tap in energetically, when they feel into you, when they've kind of witnessed your journey since you parted ways with one another, that there's only been love. And it's not from a place of delusion. It's not limerence. It's not naivete. It's like something that transcends logic, transcends human comprehension. It's almost like you've come into a place of like, in another lifetime. In every lifetime, it is us. In many lifetimes, it is us. If this is how our story plays out in the here and now, I will always love you. And it will always be us. When we are known by different names, when we take on different forms, human or other, it will always be us. And so that core truth that you just sort of held within as you continued to live your life, you've alchemized your pain into purpose, you've worked through some things, you're now a different version of yourself than you were when you were dealing with this person. Or they've witnessed you changing in the midst of the connection with one another. You're demonstrating to them something that isn't like love without like a doormat, like there are no consequences, but there's a sense of like unconditional love. Like I can hold space for your flaws and your frailty as a human being and hold you accountable for those things, just as I hold myself accountable for those things on my end, but I will always love you. There's always that core where like none of this matters. And beyond all of this, there's you and there's I, and we are together as one. And so this is something it feels that like that is the closest that this person has like touched upon divine love embodied in a human form that's only been accentuated through the difficulties or through like the time and space that you've had apart from one another, or even kind of like as you're evolving through these stages of the connection with one another, that this person feels like you allow them a lot of autonomy. You truly allow them free will to like choose to take things to the next level, choose to participate, or choose to stand still, and that doesn't distract you at all from how you're living your life. You adjust and you go through the motions, and there's always that love for them. So let's get some message cards from their higher self and see what they want you to know right now. Okay, and they say, I have regrets. So it feels like they're definitely awake to this connection, and they may be wrestling with that energy inside of like, how could I have not seen this? How could I have questioned this? How could I have tested this person's loyalty, this person's affections? How could I have had like these sharp edges or these broken bits within me that would wound this person, or that I kind of kept them at a distance because I was afraid that these aspects of me would like wound them. This is somebody that wants to open up to you fully. They want to divulge everything. They want to tell you how they feel. They want to make up for lost time. They also say, it's you I've been looking for my whole life. So they definitely see you as the one. You're the one for them. It's not that you're unlike anyone else. You're the one for them. And it's just as complex and as simple as that. They also say, I'm hiding my true feelings for you. So they're planning some kind of big conversation, likely something that they want to happen face to face, because there's a sense of like, I don't want anything lost in translation. I don't want meaning to get kind of obscured by just the written word. I want to speak to you. I want you to feel my energy. I want you to not just have to rely on what I say at face value, but I want you to feel with everything you're able to kind of discern and deduce about me and about the energy and the vibe I'm putting forth, that I'm honest when I come forth to say you're the love of my life, you're the one, you're my true love, you're who I want, you're who I choose, you're who I claim, and will you have me in return? So let's get some initials. This could be a first, middle, or last name, or could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Got M, D, P, V, N, O, A, H, Z, U, S, A, W, V, and L. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link to that in the description box of the video. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.